Good afternoon, fellow Plex Server owners. Today I'm going to help Sandy, and this is likely to be a long video. Sandy is running Plex in a Docker container on a Synology NAS. I don't know which one it is. I assume it's a Plus model because he's added a expansion unit. And he's created a second volume and put media in that second volume, and he can't get Plex to see it. And I gave him instructions on how to fix that if you were running a package install on a Synology NAS, and that was before I knew he was running a container. So my Plex media is on this NAS, but I'm running Plex under Unraid on a little fast modern Intel NUC, and that lets me have a test server on this of both a package install and a Docker container install. I have two Plex servers set up on my older Synology NAS, and I have other test Plex servers on different Linux hardware. So what I did to prep for this is I nuked the container with Portainer, and then I came into File Station, and in my Docker shared media folder, I went to my Plex Docker container folder, and I nuked everything that was in there. And I also created a shared folder called mediapd2 on my second volume. Mediapd is my test media. It's all public domain, and it's actual real movies, so I can show these in a YouTube video without getting a YouTube strike, except for I just use it in another video for collections in Plex with a subject being Die Hard or movies that have the word die in them. So I have to get rid of that media. Actually, let me do that now because I won't be able to show some of this. So let me pause the video. I'll nuke that extra video or that extra media and come back. And I'm back. Nothing but public domain media now. So we're all set. And I have the shared media folder on the second volume, and even though this is all public domain titles, it's all made up of dummy tiny video files of me saying happy plexing or something goofy like that. So that's the setup. I've nuked my container, and I'm going to be following this Marius hosting guide, only I'm not going to use a Plex claim. I'm going to fix this volume statement, which I don't like. This doesn't tell you what to do for TV shows, but I can explain it. Volume 1 is self-explanatory. This is a shared folder called movies, and this is a folder inside it called media that obviously must have movie media. Read only, it could be read write. You'd want read write with a DVR setup, and read only is fine without. Marius tells you how to get your PUID and PGID numbers, but he requires a donation to tell you how to do that under a scheduled task. I don't want to tell you. I could show you, but I would give away my Synology username, my admin username, and I don't want to do that. And this is such a great resource if you want a Synology NAS. Throw him $5 and he'll show you how to set up a scheduled task to do this, or learn how to SSH in and in the terminal type ID. So I kind of told you, but you got to figure a lot out to do it. Just pay this guy $5, buy him a cup of coffee. It's a great resource. So I'm actually going to use these instructions without following them in Portainer to spin up a new NAS. And I've also gone into the web app to remove any references from the server that was running in a Docker container. And I have all this information here. So I'm just going to copy all this. And you'll see I'm calling the container plexpd. That's what it will be named. Down here, this configuration path matches my existing empty plexpd folder in the Docker shared folder. And this is my path to all my Plex media on volume 1 in the mediapd folder. So it's volume 1 / mediapd : anything after the colon is a virtual path that you will see inside Plex Server. So it's / plex media v1 read write. I could change that to read only if I want, because I'm not adding a DVR to this server. And if I was, I'd simply stop the container, change it to read write, run it again. You got to pull the information again. The container starts up, and then I could add a DVR. Your Docker container path has to be read write. So find out from Marius your PUID and PGID numbers, because that's what gives the container permissions to your media. And you can use the Plex claim option if you want. We'll just claim the server manually. It's too easy to do. And this is what gives you the hardware acceleration. You don't have to set Plex up as a scheduled task. If you have an AMD processor, you can still follow the Portainer method. You just remove this. And now this is all kind of formatted the correct way. So you got to follow the formatting with the indents. So I will simply copy that, move it off screen. And when you first open up Portainer and install it, this is what you see. You can click on the whale to get here, or you can click over here to get to your containers, and you'll see that I'm running all the fun trash guides container, except for radar. This is an independent Usenet or torrent search engine, and LiDAR. So they were all installed based on the Marius hosting instructions, all through a scheduled task to then be set up. The landing zone is inside. Let's see, where are we? The landing zone is inside the shared media folder. So I have my sort library folder, or my sort folder for each library type, and I have the sob nzbd landing folder. Oh, I don't know. Oh, I think I was just hiding some shows in here. So you normally have your complete, incomplete, and your watched folder in here. And with a proper setup, you can manually throw an NZB file into the watch folder to then have it automatically acquire, but I don't think anybody ever does that. So anyway, that's a little background on the trash guide setup, but these have to run on my Synology NAS and land in the Plex media folder in order to achieve atomic moves, which is one of the most important things to set up for in that sort of setup. So I'll switch to stacks. And I never configured this. I was going to try to get AdGuard running, and I tried to play around with FileBot. I can get it installed, but I don't like it as a package, and I can't get it installed yet as a Docker container, even though I have it installed perfectly fine on my Unraid NUC, and that's good enough. I was just trying to get it installed here too. So back to Plex. Click Add Stack. Let's make this full screen. I can call this plexpd, or I can call it Linux-server, because that's what I'm going to be pulling from. I'm going to be using their container. So the web editor is already selected, and I'll paste in what's already on the clipboard. And literally, it's just deploying the stack. Now you can't switch away from this page until you get a successful deployment. Now I can go back to containers, and plexpd is the name of the container. It's started, but it's not healthy yet, or not running yet. If I go back to my Synology NAS and I go into Container Manager to Containers, you'll see the PlexpD someplace right at the top. Now it just says it's up for 1 minute and it's green. So let's go back to Portainer, and now it's healthy already. So that's somebody in Plex World contacted me on Facebook. I've got too many windows open, so I don't need Marius hosting. Remember, wonderful site. Buy him a coffee to use this scheduled task scheduler way of getting your IDs you need for permissions. Let me close down a few more things here. I don't need DSM anymore. Got too many icons, so I'm going to do a new Chrome window instead of pulling up my messy multiple tabs. And I'm going to go back to my little notepad. Now to claim a Plex server, you access it in this formula with your own local IP address. Except for a Windows server, no, you got to use this for a Windows Plex server if you've already had a server and the local host address won't get it. So if you redo your Plex server under Windows and you try to open it from the taskbar, that's using the local host address, the 172.00 or whatever it is. It won't work unless you use the direct IP address like I'm using now. Okay, so this is what we want to see. Got it. So I'm going to give it this name because it'll match my nuke container name. And you see there's also a package version. Then I'll hit next. I got to pull my phone out because I'm going to need authorization. And giving it the same name might be problematic. I might have a problem with that. Okay, no, it's in. And now I can add my first library. And because I named it the same, I don't think I had to go to my Google Authenticator to sign in. So that was kind of different, but let's add a library. We'll add a movie, and we'll call this main V1. I'll click next. I'll browse for media. And remember the alias I told you we'd be looking for, Plex Media V1? I have access because I can see what's inside it. So I'm going to add the main movie library. Well, I'm sorry. Let's do this again. I'm going to click into the movie library sort folder and then click into the main movie library. And because I can see the titles, I know it's proper. So under advanced, I always set collections to, I'm like programmed to do this. I set minimum automatic collections to 2, and then it's simply adding the library. So let me add another movie library and 2 TV show libraries, and we'll fix the container. We'll call this Docs V1 for documentaries. So the same thing. Here's my alias that leads to only that one shared media folder. I'll click into my movie library sort folder, and then I'll find my movie-documentary actual library structure. There's only one movie in it. And again, force of habit, minimum collection size to 2. Right, so now we'll add 2 TV show libraries. I'll call this -V1. Next, it's the same deal, browse for media, the alias. Now I'm going to go into the TV show library sort folder, pick the main library. I've got this public domain media, and I cannot help but do this. I name everything from TVDB, I don't use the movie database for naming for TV shows. Lots of reasons. Just trust me on this. All right, then we'll add a kids library. The alias to my structure, the TV library sort folder, the kids library folder, and add. Oh, the advanced setting before I add, sorry. Change this to the TVDB for the episode ordering. And now we can hit next. Tells you to get your apps. Now we're into my main server, so I have to click on settings, and then I can see this new server, and you'll see this one that I was playing with last night. That's on my bench system in the basement. I was playing with this one a few days ago. This is my same desktop PC, but rebooted into a different NVMe drive with Ubuntu on it with a Plex server, but I want to be in this one. So if I slide down to libraries, now I can see these libraries I created. I can go in and I can actually play media without getting in trouble on YouTube. So one reason I always name from TVDB is a virtual show at TVDB like the Looney Tunes. These are all old movie shorts, and TMDB is very strict. If it's not a TV show, it's not in their database as a TV show. And they only have aired episode ordering. What TVDB allows these virtual TV shows like these old movie shorts, like the Looney Tunes content, Tom and Jerry cartoons, MGM cartoons. And they've also got a nice organization entry for all the different Ken Burns documentary films that have been on PBS. The Civil War was its own TV show entry at both databases, but only at TVDB is there a Ken Burns Films TV show entry that you can have all that content under one show instead of the individual shows. So, and this all just plays. So the server is doing background stuff, detecting intros and end credits. I don't really want to stop this, but it will just start up again. So the only thing I want to check is under general. No, it's not general. Where is it? I always miss this. General web, I think. Make sure I'm automatically signed in if I come back. So let's go to this view again. Let's minimize this. Or not minimize it. Let's put it in the window and let's bring Portainer back up. And let's get these side by side for a second. So now we're going to add the path to the new structure on the second volume. So I'm going to click into the plexpd container in Portainer, and I'm going to stop it. And I'll wait for it to stop. So now we'll see over here, this server is no longer available, and that's normal. So let me remind you of my structure again. Over here, it's simply mediapd2, and that's what I'm going to give the container access to along with the original one. So we head back to stacks. I click into this Linux server stack, which is really Plex. I click into editor. Let's make this full screen. And I'm going to copy this, add a line, paste it in, and I'm going to change this to volume 2, this to mediapd2, and this to Plex Media V2. And if I've done that right, that's the only edits I need to do. So let's recap here. it is mediapd2 on volume 2, and I've just given it a different alias. So we're just going to go down and update the stack. I'm going to repull the image and redeploy. And we'll just wait for confirmation that it started. Now I can leave the screen. If I try to leave the screen before, I lose my edits to the editor. I can click containers, and now I simply have to wait until this is running again. So if I before I could refresh, it's running. Well, let's show it in Portainer. It's still marked starting, but I need to refresh the browser window, and you see it's running. So that was an easy edit in Portainer. Let's verify that we have access to add the media from the other volumes. So I'll click this, add movies. I'll call this main v2. Next, browse for media, and now you see I have this second alias that I can click into, and I'll go into the movie library sort folder. This is the only movie library subfolder, so I'll click into it. You see this test media. I'll click add. I'll go to advanced, and I'll change my collections to 2, even though it won't matter with this. I'll add. Let's add that other TV show library. I don't know if I call the other one main or not. I'll just call this V2 for volume 2. Next, browse. Add that path. Oh, sorry, that's not right. Click here. Click into the TV library sort folder, add that, and then I'll change the advanced setting to pull episode ordering from TVDB. And now I want to show you something else. You don't really need new libraries. This is just how I did it to demonstrate that I could. And again, these are not any real videos like my other public domain ones. This old series does not have poster art for Plex to pull. That's why you're seeing an image from the actual video, which is just me saying this. Plexers, test 1, 2, 3. So it's just a dummy video file. Now if I go into Fibber and Molly McGee, there's no artwork either. So that's nothing to do with a wrong setup. If you check TMDB and TVDB, there's just no artwork for the episode because they're so old, and why would there be? So, if you have an existing movie volume that you want to add media to from both, you can do that. So let me set up a test movie server. We'll call it combined. So I'll add the original main movie library folder. And again, set the collection size to 2. So I've added that, and that's going to pull the same media as the other library I created. Well, from this screen here, I can go into Manage Library, Edit, Add Folders. I'll leave this folder, and now I can add movies from the second volume. Just pick this alias for the second volume, pick my movie library sort folder, pick that library, click add. Now you've got both paths. So this library is going to contain movies from both volumes. So just because I demonstrated it the one way doesn't mean you can't have a single movie library or a single TV show library with media from both volumes in it. So I hope this helps you, Sandy. Anybody else watching, I hope it helps you on a couple different levels. And if I can stress anything, let's see, where is my folder? If you think you might become Plex addicted and get into a trash guide setup, that's just going to mean NAS storage, network storage. And it should be one shared media folder. You can use a flat library folder structure. You don't have to use my nested structure, but your landing zone for a trash guide setup, whether it be SOP, NZBD, or NZBD Git or NZB Git, I'm not sure. It's not being maintained any longer, so use this. That landing zone has to be in the shared media folder to achieve atomic moves. And what atomic moves are is I can give you a demonstration here. Let's copy this to here. Those are real folders, and there's some sizable movies. And we'll get an estimate on how long it'll copy, how long it'll take. It'll take 3 minutes. So if I back up, well, let's go over here. If I instead copy that to inside this folder, well, actually a copy's not going to work. If I move it, and if I cut and pasted it over to a different volume, it would be the same thing. But if I cut it and I'm moving it within the same shared media folder, oh, I don't know why permission's denied, but that's the gist of it. If you're moving something around within the same shared media folder, it's just like moving around your same hard drive. It's instantaneously there, and the file system just updates the location. If you move it from one hard drive to another on a JBOD setup on your computer, well, it really has to copy to the new location and get written, and then the original gets deleted, and that's just time consuming. Well, if you're using a trash guide setup where one file after the other are coming in, you want the part where it's renamed and moved to be instantaneous instead of slowing things down like this. So that's my whole video. It's long, covers a lot of topics, but it does cover how to adjust the paths. And I'll leave this up as an example, and I'll even throw it into the description of this video in case someone wants to start a container with the shared media folders named exactly as mine. The only thing I didn't do, let me pull Portainer up again. Again, my videos are not scripted. And it just is what it is. Copy that, and we'll paste this in. And again, to claim your server, I don't need that any longer. To claim your server, it's this formula. Just put your own local IP address in. And this is what got the container going both times. So the second time I just added this path in, and if you want DVR, change these to RW. So I'll throw them in the description of the video just like this, so you have something to start with. And the important thing is you've got to pay Marius a little bit on a Synology NAS to figure out your PUID and PGID number, or mine are exactly what his are in Eastern Europe. So what are the chances that yours might be the same as both of ours? All right, thanks for watching and happy plexing. And Sandy, let me know if this does not fix you up. I think it will.